What happens after The Ancient Gods Part 2 for Doom Eternal? As of now, there's no release date for the DLC, so we are left to speculate about various topics. A lot of feedback around this poster has been around how it will end. That's what I want to talk about in this video. There's a lot of theories on what's going to happen. There's a few ways this can end, or maybe not end. While the information says this is the end of the Slayer story, and your war against Hell ends here, I still believe there are ways to leave this open and not completely end it here. Maybe another DLC in the future, or another game somewhere down the road. During his live stream, Hugo Martin has said the Divinity Machine plays an important role in the story. From what the Codex said, we were under the assumption that it was meant to locate the impurities in a person, but instead, it granted the Slayer with incredible speed and strength. If this machine has another role, what could that be? I was wondering why this machine had the same symbol as the Slayer before he entered it. It's also the same symbol you see on the back of the Dark Lord and during the introduction of Doom 2016. Somehow, they are all connected. Is it possible that this was meant to create a being who is the opposite of Davath, someone equal to him in case he were to ever rise again? With the Father not around to protect Urdak or the other realms he created, maybe the Divinity Machine was left in place to have some way of fighting back against Davath. When the Father tried to stop Davath, he merely ripped the Soul Sphere from his body and placed it within Ingmor's sanctum, along with the other failed creations. He refused to truly destroy Davath because he loved all of his creations, be it good or evil. Another theory on how this could end is what if the Slayer and the Dark Lord are in fact connected in some way? They both carry the same symbol, so there has to be some reason for this. Is it possible that killing the Dark Lord would also end the Slayer's life in some way? This would end the chaos that both of them would enact on any world, dimension, or realm. This theory reminds me of the Matrix Revolutions, where Agent Smith ended up being Neo's opposite, his negative, the other side of the equation trying to balance itself out. You could use the same idea here between the Slayer and Davath, where we have a beacon of light and the shadow of darkness. Will they give us a totally unexpected ending like this, where they both die, or is it the typical ending where the good guy wins and all the other realms are saved? We just have to wait and see. I want to go back to another topic that I always liked since Doom 2016. I covered this topic a few times in other videos back in 2020. It's the prophecy of the demonic crucible. There's a tree you can find in Doom 2016. It's located in Kadingir Sanctum. As you approach it, you'll hear 4 verses. These are hints to what happens during Doom 2016 and possibly going into Doom Eternal and maybe after The Ancient Gods Part 2. Here is the first verse you can hear within that prophecy. When it speaks of a heretic, that would be someone who believes or practices religious heresy, a person that goes against their religious ways of the church. The people of Urdak did come off as religious beings, but who would be seen as a heretic amongst them? Well, Samur Maker is an example. I'm not talking about when he took the Father's Soul Sphere, because he was only doing that because the Father told him. It was to prevent Davath from acquiring the Father's Soul Sphere. But there is one line from Samur that comes off as if he's got other intentions. He says this: "Your people are made to suffer, processed souls for the Khan Maker's world. I assure you, this could have been avoided with different leadership." This would imply he or someone else could have taken control of Urdak for a different result. Just the way he says it really seems like he did not want the Khanmaker to rule anymore, especially when you listen to how much he did not like the agreement between Urdak and Hell. More realms for Hell to absorb in exchange for Argent energy. That would keep the Khanmaker from going into her transfiguration process. Basically, she wanted to be immortal. So this heretic that the prophecy speaks of really makes me think of Samur Maker. He even stole the crucible from the Slayer at the end of Doom 2016. And when you see how much he wanted the Father's soul sphere to save himself, it probably would have made a being of incredible power, one that could rule over all the others. In a way, it seems like Samur was going to betray the Father because you see him reaching out to grab the soul sphere. This just seems like he wanted it for himself. Looking back at things he said and what his motives were, if he did become a god by absorbing the Father's soul sphere, I think he would have ended up ruling over everyone else, and not in a good way. There's something about Samur that always gave me a bad vibe. It's not his appearance, it's that he can help you so much, then easily betray you, just like that. So, the next prophecy of the Crucible is this. This is pretty much explaining how Olivia Pierce turned into the Spider Mastermind for helping the forces of Hell. The voice that spoke to her in Doom 2016 was of the Dark Lord. Now here's where it gets interesting. These last two parts bring up something very important. There has been no direct link as to who created the demonic crucible, and if other beings had used it. The most obvious answer is it once belonged to Davath. Perhaps at some point he had a normal crucible, and then it became corrupted by his evil influence. The picture we saw of him with a crucible just looked like a different weapon, based on its design here. You can see his original crucible had a different handle with no skull. The hilt is different. The blade is missing the smooth edges, and the curved tip is slightly shorter. Or maybe it was just an error, I don't know. This prophecy seems to give the indication that this specific crucible is more than just a sword that cuts through flesh. When it says that it will corrupt all realms, I think its true power is not fully displayed in-game yet. The last prophecy of the crucible is this.
Yet even as the Doomslayer revels in the spoils of his war, another shall rise from the fires, a dark priest, consumed by the crucible, and even the Doomslayer shall weep in his shadow.
Now this one talks about a dark priest who shall rise from the fires. I mentioned this before, but Samur Maker was pretty much seen as a priest figure on Urdak. He would act as a guide or a point of direction for the Doomslayer, helping him on his missions, but it seemed like all of this was for his own cause. Before you can fully destroy Samur's body, he was saved by the Father. He's still around somewhere, maybe he's barely surviving. Now think about this idea. What if Samur Maker got a hold of the demonic crucible? Right now, it's on the Fortress of Doom. If he were to teleport there and grab it, he would be the dark priest who is consumed by the crucible. That's the way I see it. This could be a way to leave the Ancient Gods Part 2 with an open cliffhanger. It would also fulfill the prophecy of the demonic crucible. Even if they say this will end the story of the Slayer, I think there are ways to leave something in the ending so they can come back to it in the future. The poster art and the story description really gives off this vibe of a huge war. There's even different types of dragons on each side, along with spaceships, which makes you wonder, where were the dragons hiding this whole time? Even if the poster does show Titans and Atlands in the background, is this just a way to promote the DLC, or are we going to control an Atlan for once? Or will they be part of a cutscene or in the codex entries? And is the ending going to be like when you defeated the Icon of Sin, something quick and short? Or is it going to be something very emotional? I guess we'll see. That armor is so cool. Now I see why Hugo Martin talks about Warhammer so much on his live stream. I think it had some kind of inspiration when designing the Dark Lord's armor. So how do you think Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 2 will end? Will it completely end the story of the Slayer, or do you think they will leave it open for another story in the future? Put your answer in the comments section. If you were ever curious about the maker text within the Book of Seraphs, I did a video in 2020 which translates almost all of the text, so check it out if you want answers. If you enjoy these theory and lore videos, you can subscribe to my channel to see more content like this in the future. Thank you for watching. This is Carlos or Acid Glow, and I'll see you in the next video.